Hey guys, it's Chris you're seeing here back from C&H Small again for another informative repair and service video. I should say this is a service video rather than a repair video because I'm dealing with vehicle maintenance out there. I have a 2008 Ford F-250 truck and I do just about all the maintenance on it to save myself some money rather than going to the dealership and getting basically butt raped out there from them for doing the maintenance I can do myself. So the maintenance I'm talking about right now is your transmission. If you have an automatic, you simply drop the pan and drain out the fluid with that type of job. If you have a manual, it's a bit different on there. I have a 6-speed manual on mine, and basically what I do is you drain out the fluid on the bottom of it on there. You fill it up on the one side, the left-hand side for the drain plug. The drain plug is on the bottom and the refill plug is on the left-hand side. They're both identical on the plugs. And here's what one of the plugs look like right here. They have a red O-ring around the bottom on here where it seals right against the case, so whenever you tighten it up on here, it basically provides a nice snug seal on here. And anytime you're doing transmission fluid change on your truck, it's best to at least have 2 of these new ready to go, because these O-rings they basically deteriorate and can break apart and basically deteriorate and fall apart on there. So anytime you replace your fluid, it's a good idea to replace your drain plug. I actually bought maybe 3 or 4 at the dealership. I actually got 1 extra than what I needed because I guess they screwed up at the factory and stamped 2 in the same package on here. The actual part number is for these drain plugs. They fit all types of ZF transmissions, so this should be a one-size-fits-all plug. It's a part number F as in Frank, number 81 Z as in zebra dash 7 A as in alpha 010-A. It's a plug. That's all it says on the packing slip on there for that. And you basically get 1 per packing slip, but in my case I got 2 because apparently the factory stamped 2 in the same package on there for that, so I got 2 as opposed to 1. So I basically got 3 right now if I need them for just replacement, and if they happen to disintegrate, because these O-rings are relatively thin on here. They're only about maybe about I don't know, about 1/4 of an inch on there. They're relatively thin. And the ones that my truck originally had them, they were basically cracking apart on here. But enough of that. We'll get to the fluid change on here. Best advice: open your manual up. I should say open your not manual, the owner's manual, and your owner's manual will state what type of fluid you're supposed to have in your transmission. Mine is an 08, and this is an August 2008 printing. And in the back of mine, they have the recommendations for the fluid. Where's it at here? Okay, there we go. Mine, the manual transmission lists Mercron 5, even though my manual specifics, it says Motorcraft full synthetic manual transmission fluid. It says 5.8 quarts, and the part number is XTM5QS. This is wrong. I just want to let you people know this is wrong. The book is wrong. How do I know this? From experience. I had my dealership, Kenny Ross Ford, change my fluid back in 2009, about a year after I got my truck, and apparently they put the wrong fluid in there unbeknownst to me, even though my manual states otherwise, and I had to have a new reman transmission put in the truck here a few months back. So check online, and the only recommended fluid for your truck is Mercron 5. You have to put Mercron 5 because that's what it says in the shop service manuals from Ford, even though the owner's manual from Ford from 2008 contradicts them on there. They actually had a revised copy of those owner's manuals after a few years. The later 2009 third publication says Mercron 5 as opposed to what mine says in there, so apparently Ford screwed up making the owner's manuals. So if you have any problems with that and the dealership gives you hassle, just tell them this is what it says in my owner's manual and go from there. Basically, in order to change your fluid out, you have to have at least 1 gallon. I bought this up at Walmart. It's called SuperTech Automatic Transmission Fluid. It's basically Mercron 5 fluid. Basically what you do is you You go and buy one for about 12-15 bucks, and you basically drain it out into a clean container. Then you get your fluid that you want to put into the transmission. And the fluid I put in mine is right here in front of me. It is synthetic ATF. It's good old Mobil 1 full synthetic. It says advanced full synthetic automatic transmission fluid, and it is the Mercron 5 specification. It says right on the side of the bottle. It says right in the back here, Mercron 5 meets or exceeds Mercron 5 Ford specifications. And you cannot use this in other applications for like Mercron LV or Mercron SP, because that's for the automatic transmission trucks that have like the torque shift 5 speeds, the 6 speeds, the torque shift 5 and 6 speeds, not the manual zf transmissions that they made up to 2010. So if you got a truck from 1999 to 2010 that has a zf6 speed in it, this fluid's the best basically you can buy in the market. It's synthetic. It has a lot higher heat tolerance than the standard dyno oil fluid out there, and it'll last longer too in there, so that should be good for you to go there. So basically what you do is you buy a pack like this. It's 6 quarts. I bought mine on eBay. I also recommend buying another quart, maybe down at your AutoZone or Advance, and basically add that to your 6 quart bottle, because anytime you change your fluid out, you have this thing right here. Basically what you do is you take your fluid out of the 6-pack right here, you fill this thing up until it gets down to about here, then you dump the rest of the fluid into your 1 quart here. The problem is with these 1 quarts is they have a tendency to not completely empty out, so it'll go down to about maybe 12 ounces left in a bottle. So that's why I'm saying buy another quart bottle, so you have 7 quarts. So basically you can add as much as you want to the same quart ball to basically put 6 quarts back into your transmission. So that's basically the fundamentals right there. You also need your pump thing. You can buy these at I got mine at Pep Boys for about 10 bucks. The handy pump thing. You pump this thing up on the top, and it pumps the fluid up to the side. If you have a diesel transmission or you have a gasoline transmission, the one thing was these transmissions should be relatively easy to service. You just basically fill up. However, the gasoline one, mine on my truck, it took me a bit longer, and I got burned up a few times on my arms because you got to snake up your hose here. I'll get it out of here for you. You got to snake your hose up on top of the exhaust dime pipe and over the catalytic converter, and I put it right into the fill plug on there. And I got my hand burned up pretty bad a couple times doing that because I didn't know what the heck I was doing the first time I did it. So just make sure when you change your fluid, the truck's hot, and leave it sit for about, I'd say, half an hour before you change the fluid. You can drop the main drain plug on the bottom first, or if you haven't done your transmission fluid in quite some time, I would recommend loosening up your refill plug on the side. So you got 2 plugs. You get your drain plug on the bottom, you get your refill plug on the left-hand side. So recommend loosening the side refill plug first. Just loosen up, don't take it all the way out. Just to make sure you loosen up. So sometimes they get pretty stuck in there, and just drain out the bottom plug with this thing on the bottom. Just drain it out, and check your threads, check your O-ring on there for that, and let it drain out for about 15-20 minutes. And if your truck's like on a slight angle, which my driveway is out here, I cannot really have the truck completely level all the time. So basically, you can probably prop the truck up in the back to maybe even it up just a teeny bit, or you can rock your truck back and forth, make sure you don't have any pockets of fluid just sitting around and or collecting junk in there. Basically, that's about the best way to do it. Just drain out for about a half an hour. You always need like a big, maybe a 5 or 6 gallon. No, not a 5 or 6 gallon. Maybe let me see here. Yeah, a 5 or 6 gallon big tub about this big. It's about black. It has a nice little drain plug in the middle. It's good for having big spills, because whenever it comes out of there on the bottom of your plug, when you open this thing up, it's going to basically spray out like that, rather than going straight down like your engine's dips or your engine's drain plug. Because apparently the ZF ones, I don't know why they spray, but they spray, so you get to have a big service. So that's why having a box underneath your area where you're working at would do really good, so it would soak up all the crap from getting on your driveway. So once you drain it out, put your bottom plug in first, and you got torque up to about 26, 28 foot-pounds. And I always mark mine with a line before I take it off on here. You can just put a little black marker on here. You mark the case and you mark the drain plug so you know which one goes where. So you can re-torque it back to a certain area where you had it before, because you don't want the plug coming out and your transmission goes toast, and there 4 or 5 grand later you got a new transmission. So put that bottom one in first and put the side one in second, and basically torque them both up, start the truck up, check underneath for any drains, leaks, or anything else like that, because sometimes these things might leak around the ring on here if you don't have them properly torqued on, and you don't want a slow leak over a few weeks or months, because you can lose all your fluid by doing that too. So that's basically the rundown. After you do that, just like shift it through all the gears, put it through granny first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and overdrive. Make sure you have it all the gears fine. Then take it down the road for a test drive. And if you do put synthetic fluid like the Mobile One stuff in here, you may notice the gear rattle might be a little bit more than the dyno fluid out there, because the synthetic stuff apparently is thinner. And even though it has a better tolerance to heat and cold out there, you may notice a bit more gear rattle driving through parking lots, or when you're letting off the clutch, because sometimes when I left my clutch, I go down a hill and coast down there, you can hear it. You can hear the gears rolling over inside until you stop to your red light or your stop sign where you're going. So that's basically it, and that should be done every maybe 15 to 30,000 miles on any truck out there. Me personally, I do it like once a season out there to make sure it's done anyway. So it's a lot cheaper to do it yourself rather than paying the dealership maybe $120, $150 to do the same thing. You can basically do it for yourself for probably about half the cost. One of these 6 packs is usually about 50 to 60 bucks on eBay, plus the shipping and handling, plus the additional 1 quart for the extra. You need to get up to 6 quarts on there. These the transmission takes about 5.8 quarts, but I recommend putting in about 6 in there, because you got fluid in the lines going up to the transmission core and coming back. And it's always best to have a little bit more fluid in case it gets churned up there and you get a little bit of mist coming off. It's just like your Mobile One full synthetic for your engine. It does burn off a slight amount over the miles. So just add a little bit more rather than 5.8. Just take up to 6 quarts right on the line on there for it. So that's it. If you have any questions, you can email me back here regarding that, or you can just leave me a comment at the end of this video if you have any questions like that for like the torque specs or the types of these drain plugs and the part number again. I can give you the part number again if you want that too. And you always need, these things take a 3/4. You can see here, where's it at? Okay. Gotta use this on a bottom on here. You gotta get a 3/8 inch drive, socket driver. Put that right in there. That's the only way to really take it off. If they're really a bitch to get off, you're gonna need a bigger socket on here. What's that here? You're gonna need a bigger one, and you're gonna need the adapter. Since you don't want to get burned up on a bottom one, I recommend getting an adapter. Get your 1/2 inch size, get in there, and put your 3/8 to 1/2 inch adapter on that one, just like that. Oh, get on there. Give me problems all day. Just like that, and that should be good for the bottom one. All you do is crank it. Just keep yourself away from any heat shield. Just crank it like that on there for it. So the side one on the side for the refill might be a little bit more difficult to get off, because you don't really have a lot of room if you have a gasoline engine like mine on there. So it would best to have just leave it like it is and get a breaker bar, maybe about 1 foot long, and attach it to the end here, and just give it a hard crank. Or that doesn't work, gotta get the hammer out. Get the hammer and chisel out. So that's what you gotta do for that. Just get the big hammer. I recommend maybe about a 4-pound hammer like this, and just whack it right on the edge right here until it breaks free. If that doesn't work, you gotta get your impact wrench out. Then basically put this on. My impact wrench has a 1/2 inch, so you gotta put a reducer on there. So you gotta have a reducer on there for that. And you're also going to need, if you have the gasoline engine, you have the catalytic converter, anything else, you get to put that up over top like that, so it goes up over the muffler and down again, so you can basically crank it in like that or crank it in the other way. I do not recommend using the ratchet impact gun, torquing them up, because you'll strip the plugs threads out on it, and you'll strip the case out. So do not use the impact wrench to re-torque these things. Just torque them up by hand. If you have a torque gauge, I recommend using that. That's the best way to gauge it. Just like take it to about 26, 28 foot-pounds, and you should always put transmission fluid on the O-ring on her, so whenever it torques itself up, it's not like gripping into the surface and it's not unlubricated, because if it's unlubricated, it can start digging in on there, and you don't want that, because you'll just cut that thread up real quick on there for that. So if you have any questions, comments, whatnot, just as I said before, just email me back here and I'll try to post them as soon as possible. Thanks, guys.